and welcome to the Lakers Central podcast, where I discuss the most famous basketball team on the planet with the biggest, brightest, and up-and-coming voices in sports and culture. Lakers basketball is back. But before we get into that, if you guys have not heard, I started a media company. Yes, Alex from Lakers Central started a media company, Crossover Media. We're branching out, folks. So when you get a second, go on over and follow Crossover 365 on Twitter and on Instagram, and help us out. Use promo code Crossover with Stitcher. You get 30 days free on Stitcher, and we have a great podcast that we're releasing for the first time on Monday with NBA agent Wes Alston of RLA Management. So check out that episode on the Crossover podcast when it drops on Monday. Vinay, basketball's back, man.
Basketball is back. Not yet. No, it didn't come back yesterday. It's back today. Basketball is back. It's just, Alex, it feels like the timeline, the energy on the timeline today, it was just different, right? Like, I mean, basketball came back yesterday and people were excited, but today it's like, it really feels like the season just restarted, maybe at about 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It was a little different today.
I can't believe it, man. I mean, yesterday, people were getting goosebumps and talking about the Lakers being back. And then today, it just felt different, man. It felt different. And I was watching the game, and I know there weren't really fans in the stands or whatever. I mean, it's just a scrimmage game. It's not even a season game yet, but it didn't feel that different.
Yeah,
it just didn't. And maybe it's just been, 3 or 4 months since we've seen regular basketball, but it didn't even feel that different to me.
Yeah, I was going to say probably outside of like the, I don't know. It almost felt like I watched some of the games yesterday also, and it felt like I could actually focus on the game a little bit more. Like I usually mute the broadcast anyways, because I'm usually like streaming on my laptop or something like that, or streaming it to my TV. So I'll mute it. I thought it was great. I can't. There's nothing else to look at. Like outside of cutting to a commercial, there's no like side commentary, nothing like that. So I think I was watching the Nets broadcast, or I forgot which, the very first game. I don't know if it may have been the Clippers game. They were the guy who was doing the play-by-play was doing it like it was the radio. And I was just like, oh, this is great. Like I didn't mind that at all. So, but I know that's an acquired taste. But I did not miss listening to the nonsense takes from the more national media guys. But we'll see how that works out when the regular season starts. But hey, man. Hats off to Adam Silver. Hats off to all the NBA players. Hats off to the coaches, the staff, everybody that's making that bubble possible. This is a pretty amazing experience for as like out of normal circumstances that it is.
It is, man. I mean, look, the Lakers are back, and LeBron and Anthony Davis, they looked really good. I mean, all things considered, with the layoff, they only played 15 minutes apiece, but they look like they picked up right where they dropped off back in March.
Yeah, I think
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, Lakers timeline definitely let people know that that they were rolling. So I didn't see any rust from them, but obviously, it's also you also get like those games where you just can't miss and stuff like that. It's the first game, you're just getting all that energy out. So I'm sure they'll regress to the mean or something like that. Braun looked good. He looked spry. AD looked good. AD looked spry. There was they changed that first rotation up a little bit, and they let Braun sit out for a little bit longer than they normally do before they bring him back for the second quarter. Usually Braun goes for a 3-minute break at the end of the first, and then he starts the second while AD sits on the bench. And they didn't do that today. Braun sat on the bench for like an extra 3 minutes. And the reason why was because Mr. Philly Cheese himself, Dion Waiters, hit that buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter. So
yep.
Yeah, I mean it was good, man. It's a lot of Laker fans like myself have hitched our wagons, and we believe in Dion Waiters. And I think today we got like a sample, a small taste of how he can be. Clearly some things to work out, but what do you think of his debut with the Lakers?
It went great. like I wasn't expecting a 20-point game or a 30-point game or
Mhm.
anything like that. So it's important to keep it within its proper context. I wasn't even expecting 9 points. I mean, that's what he had, 9 points,
Mhm.
3 for 7 shooting. That's amazing. The dude hadn't
Yeah.
played basketball in like a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he hasn't played in like a year. And it wasn't so much about how he shot the ball as much as like his energy.
Yeah.
His energy was great. And
Yeah.
you know, Dion Waiters has been, a lot of people joke about him that you know, he's a meme. You know, they make fun of him all the time. And so he can very much be down on himself, but for him to come out and with that kind of energy and for the team to, you know, clearly rally around him,
Mhm.
he hit that big 3 at the end of the quarter. Man, he's going to be a key piece. I mean, he played what, 13 minutes?
Yeah.
If he can give the Lakers 9 points in 13 minutes on any
Yeah.
given night, I mean, that's the Lakers need that, right? Like they needed
Yeah.
that all season
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see too many situations where Anthony Davis and LeBron James are going to be off the floor at the same time.
Right.
But you could tell. I mean, there is good and there's bad, right? So there was a bunch of sequences when he was on the floor where he got like completely lost. He didn't even know who he was defending. His guy was left like wide open. That's all stuff that they'll clean up, you know,
Right.
as a rotation comes. We didn't have Caruso tonight because he was a late scratch. And Caruso helps tighten up some of that rotation because he kind of helps direct the offense. He makes that extra help rotation over and stuff like that. But you could tell that, you know, if Dion really, really wanted to, he could probably go to the rim every single time out of those pick and roll plays. But you could tell he was trying. He was trying to keep JaVale involved at times. He was trying to keep Dwight involved. I actually think that pick and roll would have been better. But because JaVale and Dwight have spent so much time playing those pick and roll situations with Rondo, that they probably don't even realize that, like, oh, Dion's going to go to the rim and he's going to drop it to me because he's going to draw the extra guy. So a couple times you could see like Dwight just like bobble the ball. For him, I think it was just like reps. And I wonder if what's going to end up happening is as these scrimmages go on and as they get more reps and stuff like that to get live reps against like switching, you know, different defenses, I wonder if that ends up being much better. The other thing I thought was there is only one Boban Marjanovic in the league that at that size. And I would suspect that Dion pick and roll with Dwight and JaVale is probably going to be better when it's not Boban standing in the middle of the paint. And so that, because you can't move him out of the way. It's almost impossible to shoot around him. But I think that action probably is going to look a little bit good. The Lakers look really good running that DHO action, the dribble handoff action to KCP. And you know, it just looks good. I have a good feeling about it. You could see this. You could see where they could just keep running the same sets over and over again and being successful at it. It just seemed like with Dion, it was just reps. As soon as he gets more comfortable and he gets comfortable, you know, coaches talk about this. If you've played any structured basketball, you know this. Like it takes a little bit of time to know where everybody's always going to be. When I run this action, when I make this move, when I make this decision, whether it's to dribble to the free throw line, to freeze jail the guy behind me, where are my guys at? And you could tell Dion didn't know that just yet. And I feel like as soon as that clicks for him, we're going to be good. And but yeah, all the exactly what you mentioned, 9 points in 13 minutes. Saw a lot of good opportunities. Had a lot of drop off passes that got blocked by Boban, Boban blocking Dwight or JaVale. He looks good, man. I don't think his integration is going to be that hard. And I loved that his first possession of the game was the we almost lost it. We almost turned it over. He scrambles, gets it back. Now he's in a one-on-one situation, beats his guy off the dribble, pulls up, makes it. Like that kind of improvisational stuff is like what we've been missing out of that bench unit. And look, man, I'm just happy. I'm just happy that he had a nice debut. Obviously, that doesn't mean we're going to win the championship, but it's good to see that we have a guy who's confident in himself when it comes to scoring and won't just settle for a long three or a long two or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think it was Trudell who said during the broadcast that, originally Rondo's injury was going to have him out 6 to 8 weeks. Now they're saying 4 to 6. And, Vogel would like to integrate him back into the lineup. And I was watching that game and I'm thinking, well, Vogel's going to have a problem because by the time Rondo gets back, Caruso is playing the way that most of us expect Caruso to play. And Waiters is doing what Waiters is capable of. There's no place to play Rondo. Like there's no reason to play him at that point. And so I hope that Vogel doesn't try to shoehorn him in for the sake of it. But if Caruso and Waiters is doing their thing, and then we haven't even gotten to JR, who had a big 3, obviously, and he had 6 points tonight. But if those guys are playing the way that we think they can, then we're good to go. I mean, usually when Rondo comes in the game, the offense gets really stagnant.
Yeah.
The Lakers opponent goes on a 6 to 8 point run to start the second quarters. The Lakers go down, then they got to rush LeBron back in the game. This happens time and time again. So, to your point, Waiters, if things get a little dicey, he's for whatever reason he's comfortable like in scramble mode. Like when everyone else is like scrambling, he's like calm somehow.
Waiters originally got drafted by Cleveland, right? And famously, there was a lot of chatter in Cleveland. This is before LeBron came back about how Kyrie and Waiters would clash when it came to their style of play. Waiters wants the ball in his hand. Kyrie wants the ball in his hand. They're both their style of game is built from the same cloth. That the J. Cole just had that song that just came out. I forgot what the verse is in the song. It just came out last night. It's the Climb Back, but he says something like, like my guys my guys shoot the ball like they'd never run the point or something like that. More 2 guards. And Waiter, I butchered the lyrics, so you guys can look it up, whoever's watching. But and there's words I can't say on the live stream, anyways. But he's a 2 guard. He's a small 2 guard. He's Randy Foye. He's Brandon Roy. He's these guys that are just flat out scorers, but because of their height, they get put into this mold where they got to be point guards. And that's like what Kyrie is. Kyrie can drop the dimes, can improvise in situations where you need him to score and all this, something like that. But that clash happens because Waiters is the same kind of guy, and I think that's the part that sometimes fans who don't watch intimately or don't see like kind of the skill set stuff, they don't realize that that's what he is. He's not a 2 guard. He's just a scorer. And the fact that the Lakers are just telling him, hey, look, go do what you have. We're going to give you the space. Dwight's going to give you such a good screen that you're literally going to get like 5 feet around you in a circle, and somebody may be waiting for you at the rim, but just do what you got to go do. And the fact that he's still willing to, drop those passes to Dwight and JaVale and stuff like that, that's great to see. I think it's also a testament to what Spoelstra has done over in Miami, because he helped kind of build that habit, wait for that late read and stuff like that. So he's a good fit, man. I don't know how else to describe him. He is the volume scorer that bench needs. Caruso knows how to play defense. He knows how to rotate. Kuzma knows where he has to stand on the court for that open jumper once it comes to him. Markieff knows where he has to defend. Dwight knows he has to rim run, all that sort of stuff. We just need somebody who'll shoot the ball. We don't need any more unselfishness on the Lakers. We already have too much of it right now because that's Vogel's principle. So I think he's gonna fit like a glove, man. I'm just glad to see that he got his minutes tonight. And like I said, small sample size, but there is a lot of good things to see in the way that he reads the floor and makes his decisions. He's gonna have a game where I don't know if that'll happen in these eight regular season games, but he's gonna have a game where he's just gonna keep going to the rack every single time and just getting layups and drawing fouls, and he's really good at that as well. So I'm on board Waiters Island. So I'm good.
No, I am too. And you mentioned Dwight and JaVale. I mean, they picked up where they left off at. They combined for 22 points. I mean, Vogel likes running those bigs on the court with Anthony Davis, and they look good also. They didn't look winded. They didn't look out of shape. I mean, this is one of the positives about having a veteran team. I think when you have a younger team, those guys, we got 3 months off. Let me not work out as much. Let me kind of party a little bit more. Let me do whatever. These guys look like all of them stayed in shape and they played like it. What did you see from Kuz, man? I mean, he was 4 for 13. He still looked a little.
So what I was more interested in seeing with Kuz was like his spryness. I didn't know if he'd come out and shoot. Obviously, you know, Vogel said that he was shooting the lights out, and so you get one part of the only. I mean, I guess I'm not going to question Vogel. Vogel's done an amazing job as a coach, and I think he's always stayed like kind of even keeled and stuff like that. I think Kuzma looks spry. That was the part that I was more interested in seeing. Does he? Is he? He doesn't have a quick first step. His handle is also not good. Kuzma does this thing where when he dribbles with his right hand, when he wants to like act like he's going to cross you over or make a move, he sticks his left hand out or like really far away, like as if he's trying to keep himself balanced. And it always cracks me up when I see that. But that's usually the hallmark of, oh, okay, this guy can't really dribble, so that's going to be which direction he's going to go in. Right. And so the main thing I was looking to see was his spryness. And there was a lot of plays. I want to say he took a 3, he missed it. He took another jumper, he missed it. But then on the third possession, there was a corner kick out to him. And I'm just doing this by memory right now. Where he pump faked and he got the guy slipping. The guy overplayed, closed out too hard. He drove real hard, attacked the rim. He had a layup. But he did that thing that Alonzo used to do his rookie year where he'd have like a layup and then he passed out of it, thinking that he should make the extra pass. So on the Reed side, obviously he still needs some work, but I'm glad to see him moving around really well on the offensive end. So that's good. On the defensive end, he was doing some high school stuff that you're not supposed to do. Like he was turning his hips, letting Luka, basically giving Luka a lane, and then he'd overplay that lane, and then Luka would hit him with like I think he hit it twice or 3 times in a row, where he hit him with a behind the back left to right dribble and then got the layup. And I was just like, all right, is this just what we're going to do here? We're just going to let him just keep switching directions on you and stuff like that. But like I said, this is, Kuzma's in basketball IQ has always been something that's been up for debate, but I'm glad to see that he's moving well, because I was concerned about his ankle and his foot injuries and how much it was affecting him and stuff like that. Nice to see him grab a lob and dunk it. Nice to see him like kind of have some synergy. I think he benefits probably the most from having somebody like LeBron be the point guard on the court, because he's not very good at like making like the right decision based on what he sees. It's more like, okay, LeBron has the ball, so I need to be ready. Like I got to be active. I got to keep my head up and cut and that sort of thing. So it was good. I'm just glad to see his feet get better, but obviously we'll monitor his shooting. 4 for 13 isn't good. I will say he missed a lot of easy floaters that he usually makes. A lot of those little short hop floaters that he takes, it felt like he was kind of letting them go a little early. It may have been because Porzingis and Boban were there. Like Boban just affects shots just by standing there. So, that's what it was. What did you think of his debut?
There were times when I felt like he was forcing it a little bit. Like there were a couple mid-range jumpers when I just felt like, come on, man, you don't need to take that shot. And he's capable of making them. But Kuz does this thing where like he'll miss a shot and the Lakers might get the offensive rebound and he gets it back and then he like takes a shot again. Like he's trying to make up for that first miss. Rather than just, getting the ball to somebody else who has an open shot or getting a better shot. And he still needs to find his place on this team. He hasn't done that yet. And this has been the craziest season probably of all time. So this is not an indictment of him as much as it is he just needs to find his place. And this is not an excuse. Markieff not playing tonight, I think hurts Kuz a bit as well. Like Markieff slots Kuz in his rightful place. So when we finally get to see Markieff back on the court next game, I'm sure that'll help Kuz out a bit. So I want to see how he plays when Markieff comes back. But Kuz just needs to hit open shots. Play decent defense. Like he's not out there to be some kind of shutdown defender, but he needs to play decent defense and not get caught up in trying to be the third guy on the court. Like that's it. Like LeBron and Anthony Davis and then everybody else just do their job. Don't get caught up in anything else. What did you see from J.R. Smith, man? I mean, I was glad to see that he got 14 minutes. What'd you see from him?
Yeah. So he was good. He was kind of part of the reason why Dion was getting lost in his rotations, because them two were trying to find out who they're assigned. Like they're trying to pick up guys in transition. And I mean, credit to Dallas. That's kind of the game that they run. That as long if they can force you into three, they're all breaking out. So you have to pick somebody up or find your assignment and stuff like that. JR looked good from an energy and just kind of being out there standpoint. Like somebody that you like would have thought that like I would have expected him to be like way out of shape, right? Being as far out of basketball as he was, but he was like serviceable. I don't know if he cracks the rotation like in the guard hierarchy. It'll be Green, Pope, Caruso, Dion, maybe Rondo is there somewhere slotted. Kuz kind of moves up to that 2-3 guard kind of role, depending on how big the lineup is that the opposing teams play. If it's like a big guy or if it's a big wing like Jason Tatum or something like that, those kind of guys. So there's like a carousel of guys that they can use. I don't know if JR breaks into that rotation or if he's like a break in case of emergency sort of situation. But it was just good to see him run regular sets. He was running the same DHO sets where he takes a pin down screen, comes right across the free throw line. He was clearly looking to pass the ball. He wasn't looking to score. Which was interesting. Same thing so it's like very similar to Dion. Like it seems as though they've been brought on board, and Rob has made it very clear to both of them, and probably Rich as well, that, and Vogel and the coaching staff as well, that this is a team. Like we are a team. The first decision you should make is to like look for your teammate, see where you created the advantage, whether it's a pocket pass or whatever it is, and set up your teammates. And so it's pretty clear that that's what they're doing. Like I said, as this team kind of gets more reps and they get more used to playing with each other and knowing where everybody stands and stuff like that in some of these sets, I think it'll get easier. Because there was definitely some opportunities where JR caught the ball on the run and he could have easily just gone to the rim for like maybe a contested layup attempt, but he just didn't do it. He just kind of like dribbled it kind of back out. He kind of backed out with it. And I was like, all right, like that's not JR or that's not Dion. Like we know that they can go to the rim. So I think I don't know how much time the Lakers probably going to have to look at tape, but I wonder if Vogel's probably, if they get a chance to look at those sets, they'll probably tell both of those guys, hey, we believe in you. This set is for you. Like usually when KCP runs that set, he catches it. It's either a pull-up jumper, or if he sees that the who am I thinking of? If the center is out of position, it's a lob over the top, right? And I think KCP did a great job. There was one where he ran the other way. They ran like a reverse DHO where he went from the right side of the court to the left, and what's it called? I think it was JaVale or somebody. He just like kind of pitched it to KCP, and KCP went to go pull up on the baseline like he was going to shoot it, and then just floats it and just I think it was like very early in the game. JaVale dunks it, and so like that's the kind of action I think that Vogel's probably going to tell JR, like, hey, this is what we want you to do. Don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about missing shots. Just keep making those plays and stuff like that. But it all depends on how quickly he moves into the depth chart and what the Lakers trust and what. I don't know if Quinn Cook's going to really be the guy. Like there was a stretch I want to say in the third quarter where they were just picking on Quinn Cook like every play. Like they just gave it to Curry and said, okay, go ahead, drive on Cook. And I mean, no, Cook is he's a short shooting guard. He's a point guard shooting guard. I don't know how else to describe him. Point guard side shooting guard. So, it's nothing wrong with him. It's just he's not physically equipped to deal with bigger guards. So JR might leapfrog him or something like that in that situation. So he looked good, man. I didn't really have high expectations for him because I don't know how many minutes he's really going to get with this roster. Lakers went 14 deep today. So I don't know if we should expect that to continue to happen as it gets closer to the regular season.
No, I don't think so. I mean, well, the last person I want to ask you about, Talen Horton-Tucker.
Everybody got to talk about him.
Everybody wanted to see him. I mean, he played 13 minutes.
Yeah.
What did you think, man? I thought he forced it a bit, but it's a scrimmage. But what did you think?
He looked like a rookie, man. That's exactly what he looked like. Airballed his first shot, barely grazed the rim, I think, on the second one. But he looked like a rookie, man. There's nothing wrong. You could tell that he was much more comfortable as the game progressed. Once he kind of adjusted to the speed of the game, at least on the offensive end, I feel like he did a much better job. I would say that, his rotations on defense were, he was getting a little lost here and there. But again, we're talking about a G League guy being thrust into NBA basketball, and he's being asked to guard guys who have gotten real NBA minutes. But he had some nice action, man, in transition. Once he's running full gate, you kind of get to see the whole go-go gadget arms that he has. He had a lot of left to right crosses where he finished with a lot of English off the glass. He had one that he missed, but he snuck it by Boban. Boban was trying to time up that block, and he stretched out just enough to get enough English off. But I think it just rolled off the side of the rim. But it's good to see that he's not afraid, and right. That's one of the things. And I know there's many Laker conspiracy theorists that think that if he's going to eventually, if he is what we think he can be and what he's shown in the G League, he may eventually make his way into the regular rotation by next year as he gets more reps and game time and stuff like that. So otherwise, he looked good. I didn't expect him, again, to be spectacular out the gate, but it's good to see that his physicality, his athleticism sort of matches up with what it is. And I think one thing Laker fans should always take away from these when rookies play is that there's game. When we talk about game speed, sometimes it's a physical thing, how fast they run, how strong they are, the athleticism. But there's also a mental speed to the game that players have to adjust to. And the mental speed is what we complain about when we talk about Kuzma's IQ. It seems like sometimes you can watch his brain processing as he's playing. And it's good to see that Talen, for the most part, didn't suffer from that initially. He may, as he starts getting more better defenders guarding him and stuff like that. But he looked good, man. I'm hyped for him. I know there's a lot of people on Lakers Twitter, the SB Nation guys, and there are a lot of prominent Laker fans on Lakers Twitter that are very high on Talen. So I'm glad to see him, man. He's an elite player. And I think he can be, an elite player because of all the intangibles that he has and all the tools that he has. So, it's good. I'm glad to see. I'm glad that he got his debut on the national stage.
I like Talen a lot, man. I mean, look, I think you can see his skill set. His skill set is there. I've said this all year long, and I'm going to say it even tonight after seeing him play. There's no reason to rush this kid. I think play him tonight, play him in the scrimmages because you obviously want to protect LeBron and those guys. You also want to play Talen. You want to give him an opportunity. But I think he's still a year or two away, and he's raw. He's still very raw.
Yeah, it's like Ingram when he first came to the Lakers. We were watching Ingram, and he was struggling with the physicalness, but then he had that stretch where it's like, okay, I see it. I can see what he can become. But he has a ways to go. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Talen looks like he's got a lot of talent. There was a number of times when I saw him get to the basket and Boban was there, and I'm like, Boban is intimidating just because he's huge, right?
Yeah.
But
Dwight 6 times today. I can't even remember how many blocks he had today. Yeah.
He dwarfs Dwight, and Dwight's not a little guy. Yeah. But Talen, he does somehow manage to still get the ball up around Boban, which is impressive. And that's his wingspan, obviously. And so, he's got a bright future. But there's a number of fans that think that he should be getting minutes now and he should be out there for this playoff push and all this stuff. No. He's not ready. But I like the kid. I think that he's got a bright future. I hope the Lakers keep him around. I think he's there for the long haul for 2 specific reasons. 3, 1, he does have talent. 2, he's a clutch client. And 3, his salary is so low, and the Lakers are going to be star hunting that it probably behooves them to keep him on the roster because of salary reasons and other. So, but hey, man, the Lakers look good. I know we lost tonight. Win or lose, to me, it didn't really matter. I was looking to see how they came out, the energy, things like that. They looked fine. They play Orlando on Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern. That's 9 a.m. for you Cali folks. So, hey,
I'm on the East Coast right now, so I get to enjoy not having to stay up. I did not know until mean, there's not been any basketball up until this point, but I'm always coming out to Georgia every year. And it's usually around the holidays. So it's like the Thanksgiving games or the Christmas games. And man, the first couple times I did, I was like, yo, people on the East Coast got to watch these games at 10 p.m. starts. I was like, I have nothing but kudos and props to all the East Coast Laker fans that have been holding it down, because these games are on so late at night. I understand your pain.
I've been doing this faithfully, like my entire life, man. Like the late nights watching Shaq and Kobe play, and then like I at that point staying up, especially if they won, watching Sports Center and the highlights afterwards till like 2 a.m. to get up and then go to school. Like, yeah. So, hey, now people on the West Coast know what it feels like, because it was brutal for like 20 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was going to ask, what did you think? So we've had 2 days of this, but I wonder if Laker fans have just experienced, if you didn't watch any of the games yesterday, the 10-minute quarters. So we talked at the beginning about the radio, like the no fans and the radio commentary and stuff like that. But the 10-minute quarters are ending up, the games are 2 hours long, exactly 2 hours pretty much. What do you think of that? Is that affecting? Do you feel like the games are short? Is it affecting your viewing experience? What is it? How do you feel about the time on those games?
You know what? Like, I didn't even notice it.
Really?
Like, at all. So I knew they were shorter, like coming into all this, but until you mentioned it, I didn't even realize it.
Do you feel like that extra? Because usually, I think if they do the 12-minute quarters and then they do that 30-minute halftime segment, it's a 3-hour production. You're dedicating 3 hours to watching basketball. Mm-hmm. Do you like that, or do you like that you basically get an hour back out of the game? I'm genuinely curious, because I was like, oh damn, the game's done. Like, I can go do other stuff now, and I still have like an extra hour than I normally wouldn't.
Yeah, like so. Okay, so personally, I like that I have that extra hour back. Yeah. Now, like if it's the Lakers are playing, I want them to have that extra 8 minutes a game, especially if they need that 8 minutes. Then Right. But 3 hours is a long time, especially, and sometimes games drag on, and it's kind of like, all right, let's wrap this thing up. But I felt like this is appropriate. Like, this is just enough time to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't see why this needed to be any longer than what it was tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because if the only reason I'm asking is because you mentioned the East Coast West Coast thing. If they ever go back to the 7 o'clock starts, which would be 10 o'clock here, at least it gets done by midnight, assuming there's no overtimes or anything like that. Like, that still seems like a pretty reasonable time for the game to end. Oh, I guess it's not true if you have kids and stuff like that, but like midnight, okay. But if compared to sleeping at 1 a.m. every night on a 7 o'clock start, like that's even worse, especially if the games go down to the wire. So I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I kind of enjoyed it. It's just something I'm curious. I think they're only doing it for the scrimmages. They're not doing it for regular season and stuff like that. So I'm just curious to see how that kind of format the reception is from Laker fans and other folks around on it. So that's all right. That was my only additional thing I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize it, but it's good. I'm looking at the clock now. It's just about 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. And like, I feel like, all right, I still got a couple hours to kind of get some other things done I want to get done. And like, yeah, it's fine. So I enjoyed it. I didn't even realize that's so crazy. So
yeah, but basketball's back. The Lakers are back, man. That's all that matters. It's a celebration.
We're back, and Lakers play again on Saturday. So I'm happy, man. You're happy. Everybody, again, if you didn't hear me at the beginning of the show, there's a Crossover Media, new media company that I lost. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Crossover365, launching a brand new podcast on July 27th called the Crossover Podcast, interviewing an NBA agent, Wes Austin of RLA Management. Make sure you check that out and subscribe to Laker Central if you're not a subscriber. And until next time, folks, I'm out.